Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be looking at a Sejuani support video for King of Limbs. You guys might know him as Wayne on the channel as well. Been a long-time supporter of the channel. He's wonderful. He comes out every Tuesday, plays with us, helps me manage Members Night. So just wonderful guy. We're going to see if we can help him out here with Sejuani and get some more wins. So let's go ahead and look at the op.gg. If this is the first time that you've watched one of my coaching videos, we always start off with an op.gg for maybe about 5 minutes early on. Then we talk about pregame, what you should think about going into the game. Then we'll watch the game itself. I'll take some hard copy notes, my notebook next to me, as we watch. And then at the very end, we'll bring them all together in sort of the best post-game, like 5 to 10 tips for improvement. So you can access this Google Doc in the description as well, and you can find the timestamp if you just want to jump straight to the game and watch that. You can find that as well in the description. Okay, so in terms of warding, you want to try to get one control ward every 5 minutes into a game, and you want to try to get one normal ward per minute. So lacking a little bit on the control wards. You've got 3 control wards. You really want to try to get that to 7 or 8. For a 37-minute game. So just anytime you go back, you have any room left, just grab a pink ward or 2, come back. I see you died with one of your inventories. That's good. You're still buying them late into the game, which is great. But don't forget that oftentimes some of the best uses of pink wards are not just to gain vision, but to deny vision. So anytime you're trying to get a gank, or anytime you're trying to set up for Dragon or Baron, you should have that pink ward ready just to drop it down, make sure there's no wards, and just actively try to shut out the enemy from vision. So it's not just extra wards, it is like a sweeper. And speaking of which, you do need to upgrade to sweeper as well. So once you get your sight stone, you need to change this over to sweeper so that you can deny that vision a little bit more. And then just one normal ward per minute on average. So you should be somewhere around, 35, somewhere between 35 to 40 wards here. And it looks like you got, I don't know if it's going to, oh yeah. Looks like you got about 16. So yeah, just try to drop as many wards as you can. So you did outperform their Vhagar in terms of warding. He didn't get any control wards. He only bought 9 normals, but try to take it up a notch. Try to go even further with it. Just place as many wards as you can. Just if you're ever about to go back anyways and you don't have 3 wards on the map, just drop them all around you. Like not obviously like right on top of each other, but just like drop a ward just in the bush you're sitting into back. Drop a ward if you're walking a dragon. Just drop a ward along the river somewhere. Just drop it everywhere. That's one little trick that I've been doing lately is if I don't have 3 on the map and I'm backing, just whatever bush you're in, just go ahead and drop a ward, because why not? You're about to refill them anyways whenever you go back to town. So you might as well make sure that you have 3 on the map. So that helps out a lot. Even if it's just some random bush, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. Like just your lane bush or something, like right when you're about to back to go get your sight stone. You never know. They might try to creep into the bush and get you whenever you're on your way back, or the jungler might try to lane gank you through that bush. So just try to get as many wards as you can down. Okay, recommended runes. I can't see which runes you use because this is a normal game, and on op.gg it just won't let me see sort of the items for some reason, or like your masteries and runes rather, and like your build order. But I would say that since you're the primary tank, there are no other tanks on your team. I mean, Kane could, in theory, build tanky, but he's not going to most of the time. So you want to make sure that you have that you're prepared to be that tank. So I think armor reds, health yellows. You can run CDR blues, and then armor quints. Now you are against Vhagar in lane. He doesn't do a lot early, but he could do a lot later in terms of damage. So you might want to take magic resist blues instead of CDR, but that's up to you. CDR will give you more ults for better initiation. More initiation, I should say, but if you're kind of worried about Vhagar, you could go ahead and take some magic resist as well. Build order I would prioritize. I would go for a Relic Shield, Face of the Mountain Locket build. You could also do Knight's Vow in there, so you could go Relic Shield, Sight Stone, Vow, and then like Face and Locket. I have tried going Eye of the Equinox quite a bit, and sort of the problem with that is it's just so expensive to complete that item. It's 650 gold beyond Sightstone and Relic Shield, and it just feels like I can always get to like 500 or 550 whenever I'm back. Getting to 650 just feels really rough, and if you're going to go for a lot of activatables, if you're going to go for like Locket and Knight's Vow anyways, then you might as well just go ahead and consider Ruby Sightstone. That will give you It's pretty good for the cost in terms of health, so that synergizes pretty well with Locket and just Sejuani's resistances that she naturally has. And I don't know. I've just become more accustomed to that build. It's pretty standard on Thresh. Like on Sej, what did you end up getting? Let's see. Zeke's is another one. So, you know, if you want to go Val, Zeke's, that's a pretty good build. That does help Vayne out quite a lot. Equinox, so. I mean, Equinox is not bad. They don't really have that much burst. I mean, if Veigar gets fed, though, like having that face of the mountain to protect whoever gets stunned against that burst could be pretty helpful. But overall, pretty good build. Pretty good build. I just think that I guess you wouldn't need Locket as much because they don't have that much AP. Although once again, Veigar, you know, he's always kind of a wild card as to whether or not he's going to be relevant. Sometimes he just doesn't do anything, and then sometimes, you know, he gets fed and can one-shot people. So overall, I think that's a fine build, though, especially if you can see that you're getting really far ahead. If Vayne like already has 6 kills or something by the time, you know, you're completing Knight's Vow, then you could just go ahead and just go on to Zeke's. So overall, pretty good build. I like it. As far as masters, I would take Courage of the Colossus. The reason is you are the tank, so you need to be tanky. So whenever you charge in, you need to make sure they don't blow you up. So I would definitely go for Colossus. It is possible to go Stoneborn Pact, but if you're going Stoneborn, like the only reason to ever go that mastery, because it's a pretty awful mastery, it doesn't offer a lot of healing. The only reason to go for that is if you intend to go for Ardent Censer, which is viable. If you go Stoneborn Sejuani, she does have some okay AP ratios, but it is going to make you squishier, and you are a close combat champion. So that's going to be dangerous in and of itself, but then also you're the primary tank, so you're going to have to be the one starting off these fights. You're not only the tank, you're the initiate. So, you know, you're probably going to have to be the one to start off any proper team fights. So you want to make sure that you're going to be plenty tanky for that. And that's about it as far as op.gg. Looks pretty good overall. As far as the pregame, just be careful in lane. As I mentioned, Veigar can do substantial damage, especially later on once he gets level 6. Vayne is not that tough early on, so it's going to be hard to trade with them. I don't think they're going to be that aggressive with you either, though, so it's probably just going to be a farm off unless a jungler shows up. You do have great kill threat on Veigar in particular if you gank him, because he has no escapes. All he has is his little cage stun, and if you or the jungler can just sort of work around him and dodge that, then it should be a relatively easy kill. So see if you can convince the jungler to come down and camp for you, because you do have so much kill threat. But if he doesn't, you can just push forward a little bit as much as you can, and then try to go roam middle and see if you can get a kill on Yasuo. But we'll just have to see how the game unfolds. So speaking of which, let's go ahead and get in there. Turn the volume back on here. Alright. Grab my pen and paper here. All right. They probably won't invade, but they could, like Veigar cage on an invade could be kind of nasty, so.
30 seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
Now, if you guys are going to sit there anyways and just chill in that bush, you might as well just go ahead and chill in this bush, you know? And just see if you can catch them walking down this river and just get the jump on them. If you're just going to sit there anyways, if your jungler's on blue side, you might as well just hang out in this bush. If they walk into that bush, you could have a very strong level 1. Now, Veigar does have Ignite, but if you get your stun on somebody, they're going to die. And you're going to get the jump on them. So I think just waiting in that bush and seeing if you could pick one of them off would be a decent option. Okay, so it would not have mattered anyways because they came in through the other way. Now go up and use one of these stacks so it can be recharging. Just hit anything because you could have had a second stack by now. If you use your stack immediately on the first wave, then the next charge will be up in time for the cannon minion. So you want to make sure you're using these stacks. Yeah, just make sure you're using those stacks. I know you might be a little scared to, like, for them to hit you, but it's right there. Yeah, there you go. Just auto. Yeah, it's certainly, once it's pushed in the tower, you should just go ahead and use some stacks. That's a lot of gold, you know. Every 45 seconds, that is 20 golds. That adds up. And over the course of 10 minutes, that's going to be like 300, 350 gold. If you use your stacks well. Maybe even a little bit more than that. Yeah, you're really not going to be able to do anything to him, so just make sure you don't, like, use too much mana. Try to help her push, just like auto-attack these a couple of times. That's one problem with Sejuani. She doesn't have great wave clear, so... Alright, let me see what happened here. Yeah, if you get caught in that cage like that, you gotta make sure that you just press exhaust on him. Now Tristana snuck a buy in there too. So whenever you guys didn't quite push fast enough, and she just backed up really quickly, she did sneak back with a buy. So you need to check that with your tab, and I had overlooked that too because I didn't think she was gone that long. But, you know, you guys lost sight of her for a little while. I thought she may have gone to ward, but... You know, when she's gone for a little bit like that, and then she rolls back up, you need to check her tab and check her items. Because when she rolls back up and she has more items than you, then she's going to beat you guys in a fight early on. Tristana, just in general, is going to do more damage than Vayne early if she chooses to jump in and go all in. Because of her... when she jumps, that does damage, and then also the bomb that she can throw on people does damage. And Veigar did start with Doran's Ring. Yeah, he has 54 AP, so he's kind of like all in on AP, so he's going to hurt quite a bit early on. Started Doran's Ring and probably AP on every single like rune he could get his hands on. So he's going to do quite a bit of damage. So yeah. I think the general course of action is just don't even try to fight them. You have virtually no chance of killing them pre-6. And without a gank from the jungler. Vayne's just not going to be able to put out enough damage, and neither are you early on. So you gotta just kind of farm it out here. There you go. Alright, good. You got some stuff there. Okay, Kayn and Zed are doing pretty well. Teemo's doing well against Nasus. So, you know, you need to be telling yourself, you don't have to do anything heroic here. You just have to, like, not die anymore, basically. And just use your CC and just help other people take over the game. There you go. Great. That was good. No, don't dive that. Don't dive that. Yeah, she's dead. Let her die. Let her die. Just run. Yeah, if you die too, they might do dragon, so you don't want to give them a dragon. You know, ideally you would ping her back and tell her don't do that. Like, just ping her back and then ping, like, Yasuo a few times. Just so she knows that Yasuo is coming. Okay, got a flash. Wow, okay. He made it out. I'm gonna say... Okay, I'll rewind it. Just writing down the things that I said there.
Shut down.
All right. Okay, yeah, fight's breaking out, so try to head over here. I assume you are. Oh. That crit. It looks like Vayne crit, maybe she didn't. Yeah, good call. Get down here, get this dragon. Yeah, just keep running. There's nothing you can do there. Alright, get away from this wall. No, just back. Just go. Just back. Just back. Just back. They're gonna kill you. Excuse me. What do you have? Right, shield. Okay, good. Yeah, try to use these charges as much as you can. Yeah, just trade. You're not going to be able to stop Nasus. Just get this tower. It's fine. Well, I guess T-Bow's got him covered. Keep running. Just keep running. Chain vest. I would definitely upgrade your gold item. Like, I kind of like getting Sightstone faster here because the game's just so wild. People are just running all over the map. But I think you definitely need to get your gold item, like, after that. And just make sure you're using these charges. You've been sitting at 2 charges for quite a long time. Okay, you did upgrade the gold item. So you got the gold item and the chain vest. Okay, I like that. But you gotta make sure you're using the charges. You should be able to get them as a melee champ. Because you get that extra execute. Sometimes it's hard as Thresh. You get the charges later in the game, but... So stay in there, stay in there. Alright, hit him. So one thing you can do, I don't know if you were looking for this or not, but hold on to your Q, and then when Tristana tries to jump through the air to get on either you or Vayne, then you can Q forward and knock her out of the air. So if you headbutt her while she's in the air, it knocks her out and she doesn't do any damage with her W.
Purple team's turret has been destroyed.
You know, if you're trying to be really slick, if you hit Trist with like a with your ult, you can position kind of near and predict where she's going to try to jump away. Then you can knock her out of the air when she's trying to jump away with your Q as well. But you got to get her while she's in the air. I think if she's in the motion of jumping into the air, but she's still like on the ground and you do it, then she's going to complete her jump anyways, which is really frustrating. But if she's actually in the air and you headbutt her, then it knocks her out of the air. That's just kind of an interesting interaction there between Sejuani and Triss. Oh wow, that was interesting. The physics there. Yeah, Vayne can dim her out of the air also. She just did it right there. Okay, good. Getting that dragon. You need some more ward coverage, though. Yeah, you need like to ward over here, ward over here. Just make sure that you're getting more wards around the maps. It is pretty dark right now. Especially considering that y'all are in a very dominant map position. Like, you shouldn't really be that scared to go out and ward. Because they're all so far behind. So sometimes I know if you're far behind, it can be very difficult to get quality wards. But when you're really far ahead map position-wise... then you should be able to get some deeper, better wards. And that just helps you close out the games, helps you make better decisions. Speaking of which, y'all really should be over here getting this rift before it despawns, but that's okay. Careful, Veigar can just turn around and R. I think he already used his R, but his Q might even be able to kill you at that point. Alright, just get out of there. You are making some nice escapes.
Shut down.
Be very careful with these guys. There you go. That was good. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Run, run, run. Don't let him kill you. Don't let him kill you. Ooh, if he got one more Q, it might kill you. And the reason is he's dead. Like, he's 100% dead right there. There's no way that he's not going to die with all three of them surrounding him. So there's no reason to even put your life at risk there. You just run away. Like, you've already touched him. You're going to get the assist. I do like popping the Yasuo with your ult there. And then maybe charging into the Nasus just to slow him. But after you get that, then just run. Just don't even risk it. What'd you get item-wise? Okay, good. Knight's Vow. Don't forget to activate that. I'd put that on your Zed. Put it on your most fed person. It could be Vayne. It doesn't have to be. I think Zed's the biggest one. Maybe right there you could put it on Kayn. Don't forget, you can change the target of your Knight's Vow. So it should be on Zed here. Because remember, it not only protects them, but it heals you. So the person who does the most damage is going to be healing you for a lot. It'll heal you for 12% of the damage they do. So when Zed's running through just massacring people in fights, it actually heals you. And also, don't forget that Knight's Vow only has like a 90-second cooldown, which means that if you're just running around and you're getting into a fight with somebody else, even if it's not Zed, even if it's just like Teemo, like you and Teemo just get caught out somewhere top lane, just go ahead and use your Knight's Vow on them. You can always change it back later. Yeah, anytime a fight breaks out, like right here, have it on the Zed. Yeah, so I'm going to say, don't forget to activate Vow. Hey, thanks so much for the sub. I appreciate it. No, dude, don't walk. You just saw 3 people in lane. Okay. So your team's really far ahead, but this is still kind of the danger zone here. Alright, Dragon's up. Fires in 50 seconds. Yeah, that's their team pinging it. So you need to be pinging this. You need to be saying, hey, look, Dragon's up. And just tell everybody, like, 1 minute ahead of time. Ping the timer like 3 times, like Shaco did there. Then actually type to your team. Say, hey, let's go fight for this. Help me ward. Like, tell them right now. Say, hey, Zed, help me ward over here. And then get over here. He's gonna die, probably. Put Vow on him. Okay, good. Nice. What? I thought maybe he was going to flash so that he could pin him into the wall, but... Okay, yeah, go back in, go back in. Put Nice Vow on somebody, on anybody. Teemo. I want to always call this guy Aatrox. Teemo, Kayn, just somebody. Because you're not only losing out on the healing portion, but you're losing out on a lot of your own armor. Like, you get bonus... I forgot what it is, like 20, 40 armor or something like that. You get a lot of bonus stats when you're near your partner, so you really want to just have that on anybody when a fight's going on. Like, obviously you want it on the most fed person, but just anybody's fine. Just so that you get those bonus stats. And so that they get that protection. So yeah, Knight's Vow is really not cost efficient at all if you don't have anyone partnered. It's like 250 gold and like 20 armor or something. It's awful. You know, it's like 1,000 gold worth of stats on a 2,200 gold item. But then once you actually partner with somebody, all of a sudden it becomes like 3,000 gold efficient or something like that. So yeah, I mean, you're basically giving up 2,000 gold by not partnering anybody. Something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's a really big deal that you have them partnered. Yeah, put it on him right here. He's the one getting targeted out. So you're gonna chase him all the way to the base. Okay. Yeah, y'all need to push up and group. You need to tell them, hey, let's group. Help me. Let's go bait Baron. Okay, working Zeke's. I like the Ninja Tap Eye. Yeah, this is where people are just trying to get cute. You know, they're just like really far ahead and they just want to see if they can 1v5. Nice. Wait, what knocked him out? What knocked him out of the sky? Was that you? That Aatrox. Oh, he hit him with his Q. Or not Aatrox, Kayn. Kayn hit him with a Q in midair. That was pretty nice. It's getting kind of scary. Okay, you see Shaco bottom, so I guess that's alright. Typically that'd be a bit risky, but you did have some okay ward coverage there, and you did see Shaco bot lane, so that's fine. It's kind of a weird Teemo build, but you know what? At least it's AP Teemo. I approve of that message. He doesn't have boots. What? Oh no, he's going Lich Bane. Okay. Yeah, I would just stick on Zed at this point. I mean, he's so fed. Just put your Vow on him. Just put everything on him. Middle, 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 middle. I mean, y'all are getting some kills, which is good, but when you have Baron, you need to be getting structures. You need to be getting towers. There you go. Right here, right here. Ping this, tell him. got the old 1v3 syndrome. All right, let's see. Oh no. Alright, yeah. Let's keep cranking. What you got? Zeke's. Yeah, make sure you put Zeke's on someone. Okay, you do have Zeke's. You just forgot about Knight's Vow. Okay, so you do have Zeke's on Vayne, which is good, but just don't forget the Vow. Zed has kind of a weird build. No, well, I guess he has the Dust Blade. Hit him with those question marks. Nah, no, it's the other team, not you. It's funny. Okay, let's go ahead and... Overall, pretty solid game. I do like the itemization. You hit some clutch ultimates. Pretty good on rotations. And once again, I didn't see you do any shot calling there, and I know that, at least from what it seems, you're, kind of a polite, chill kind of guy, so maybe, shot calling is not... necessarily something that would not come naturally, because you seem like you'd be a great leader, but maybe just something that you wouldn't immediately think about in a game. But I do think that shot calling would help quite a bit. You guys did secure a lot of objectives. You got the dragons. You lost the rift, though. There has to be some permutation of things that you could have done there to get to that rift herald. Just directed your team to go over there, and a lot of that is setting up vision and pinging and telling them. when you're really far ahead, you got to make sure you get that rift, because that's a free, usually a tier 2 tower, and that can end games really quickly. Because as we saw, they had 2 people disconnect there at the end, and you guys were going to win anyways, most likely, but what if it was 2 people on your team that disconnected, right? Starting at the 25-minute mark. So, you need to make sure that you close out games because of that, in case there's a random thunderstorm or, whatever that's going on. So you need to make sure that you're the one who is trying to close out the game as fast as possible, and Rift Herald helps you do that. So I think I'll just go ahead and mark that down. I think it despawns, like, I know Baron shows up at 20, but it might despawn at like 1945 or something. So let's say like 1930 just to be safe. I think it despawns a little bit before Baron. But other than that, sort of the rotations look pretty good. Yeah, really, if you had Ignite in that lane, maybe you could go for an all-in, but really, you're kind of packing for the late game, right? Like Vayne, then you have a lot of CC, but you don't have a lot of burst damage early, and it's really risky for you to go in because you have nothing to help you go back out, right? And your defensive steroids aren't that great early on. They're okay with your passive, but they aren't that amazing. So, if you had Ignite, you might be able to go for it, but trying to go for Veigar because if you go in and you don't kill him, then he's going to cage you in and they're going to get a bunch of free shots on you. And Tristana does quite a bit early game. Not like as much as like a Draven or a Jhin or a Caitlyn or anything like that, but she does like okay damage. Like she has a pretty good all-in. So if you're at half health or something and she jumps in and puts a bomb on you, it's going to be really hard to get away. I do think that time that you died, you could have exhausted either Veigar or Tristana and probably lived. So just make sure you're using your exhaust if you take it. But overall, just farm it out. You don't have to pressure. Especially if your other lanes are doing so well. Like Zed was completely stomping middle. If you tabbed, you'd see that Teemo was up, like 20 or 30 CS top lane. So you don't have to be a hero. In a lot of those games, even if it's like 50-50, like you might be able to kill them, they might be able to kill you, just don't even take the risk, because why? If your team's already steamrolling, just don't be the thing that holds them back. Just let them roll. And just, switch modes and just go into sort of the just chill mode bot, because there's no need to take a risk. However, if your team is completely getting stomped, if it's like 0-3 mid lane, then tops 0-2, then maybe you're like, okay, I wanted to farm this passively, but now we're not doing so well, so I need to turn it up a notch and be aggressive so that we can have at least one winning lane, right? So don't be afraid to switch gears, even depending on the matchup. So even if it's something like Draven Zyra, if you're Draven Zyra, something that's super aggressive, you can still be aggressive, but if your other lanes are really crushing it, maybe it's not worth risking pressuring people under tower to open yourself up to jungle ganks, for example. So, just take the game state into mind when you're making some decisions there. And you didn't really have to go aggressive in that lane at all because you're winning the other lanes. Okay. Oops, not that. Okay, so when Vayne was trying to dive and kill the Tristana mid lane or whatever, you should have pinged her back. And there were a couple other times where people were just kind of getting out of control, like just trying to go in 1v3. Just try to ping them. Like, see if you can see what they're trying to do. Like, if you see, Kayn going up to 3 people, ping him back. And give them something to do. Like, say, hey, let's go bait Baron. Hey, set up Vision in the red side bush and say, hey, let's wait in this bush and kill him and then get Baron. Or just something. Just give them a mission. Because I feel like once the tier 1s go down, and certainly after the tier 2 towers go down, when you're really far ahead, and sometimes that's the most dangerous part of the game because your team won't know what to do. Like, they won't know which towers they should be trying to contest because all the easy ones are gone, right? And so then they tend to, if they have no direction, they'll just wander around and try to get kills. And And sometimes that works out, and sometimes it doesn't. In this game, they started to come back. They got several notable kills in a row. They just didn't really do anything with it. Like, they didn't really pressure Baron off of it. They didn't pressure your towers that much off of it. So, you know, you kind of lucked out in that decision, or in that regard. But, you know, just try to shot call a bit more. Just try to direct people, give them a mission, give them something to do so that they don't have those idle hands. So try to use your Q if you can. Like, obviously, you know, a lot of times if you want to go in straight away, you know, you'll use your Q to initiate. But if you just happen to save your Q for a little bit, particularly if you hit your ult on Trist, just start walking up, use your W on her to scare her a little bit, and then right when you can sense that she's going to jump, if you can, try to Q at her right there and see if you can knock her out of the air. So that's not always possible, but just understand that that is, it is something that's on the table. If you can do it, and it'll really destroy her if you do, is whenever she tries to jump, if she's jumping forward, it makes it a lot easier to Q into her. If she's trying to jump forward and, you know, get really aggressive with Vayne, you can Q onto her. But also, even if she's trying to jump away, if you time it correctly and you get up in her face, like right when she's, you know, taking off, if you Q and hit her, then you can knock her out of the air. So just a little bit more advanced with someone like Sejuani, but that's just something interesting that could be on the table. As you saw, Kane was able to knock her out of the air with his, I think it's his W, his little knock-up thing, and that was pretty cool. If you can knock her out of her jump, then she's probably going to die. Especially now that once you get map superiority, once they're just really scared and you've got the first tiers of towers down, you really should be warding deeper into their jungle to set up for objectives. So ward deeper, try to get their blue, try to get their red with your team, of course. And then, you know, try to contest Baron, try to make sure you get dragons, get those scuttles. So just ward deeper and try to make decisions based on that. So I know if you get behind, it can be hard to ward deeper because you're not going to have the map pressure to do so, and it's really dangerous to try. But if you're really far ahead like that, I feel like you can ward deeper, and that'll help you out tremendously with your shot calling. Okay. So try to run away if you have low health, especially if the kill is guaranteed. So that one time you were sticking around with Nasus that I remember, and he was 1 Q away from killing you, and they killed him just in time. But there's really no reason to stay in there when you're that low, when it's guaranteed, you know, when they're completely surrounded by 3 people, and there's no way he's getting away. Just run away, like they're going to kill him. So there were several times where you got away with very low health, and you did run away most of the time. But there were a couple of times where it was very close, and you should have run because they were certainly going to kill whoever that was you were fighting. And you're just putting yourself at unnecessary risk. So that's just another thing to consider. So you did a great job of that most of the time, and you didn't really get punished for sticking around that game. But there will be other games where Nasus will smack you with that final Q and manage to salvage 1 kill out of that. Or, you know, just someone else will punish you for overstaying too much. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, so don't forget to make sure that your item actives are, that you're using those in an optimal way. So you never use Knight's Vow all game, so I know it's easy to forget about that, but you really got to make sure that you're activating that because you lose a ton of gold. I mean, I can look that up really quick. Let me see. Yeah, so the gold value, that doesn't even include the passive. But the gold value of Knight's Vow is only 1,700 gold when you don't have, when you're not near your partner. When you're near your partner, it's 2,700 gold. and you also get the 12% mitigation, which it doesn't really take into account here cost wise. But I've done an analysis in the past, and I think it's because you gain health out of it. You gain basically lifesteal from your partner, lifesteal and spell vamp, and then 12% lifesteal, 12% spell vamp, and then you also mitigate 12 damage, which is difficult to calculate, that damage redirection, but it's a lot. Like it's at least 1,000 extra gold worth of bonuses that you get when you're near your partner from the lifesteal, spell vamp, and the damage redirection. So you're missing out on something like somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 gold by not activating that. And remember, it's only a 90-second cooldown, so just put it on anybody. If you're near a fight, even if it's just Teemo that's near you or whatever, just put it on Teemo. It doesn't matter who. Just make sure that it's on somebody. And then, if it's a good team fight, you want to put it on the highest threat target. If you have multiple targets available, put it on the highest threat person. So Zed would be who I'd put it on in this game. So he was most important. He's going to do the most damage, and he's the person that you want to die the least. He's the one that you want to keep alive. So I would put it on Vayne, or on Zed. Vayne's a fine target, but Zed was like 12-2 at some point. And some of those fights were really close, and I think if you had Val on those people, then they potentially could have lived. Okay, so that's going to be it. Overall, pretty good. Like I said, just, the core thing here, most important stuff, is just to try to ward more, especially deeper when you have map position. Use that vision to help you shot call a little bit better to close out games. You did a pretty good job, your team did, but just give them a mission. Let them know when dragons are coming up early. Make sure they get that Rift Herald. Try to set up bush ganks if there's nothing else to do on the map. That'll enable you to challenge Baron more or to perhaps pushing at towers. So just get wards, shot call more, and watch your items. Make sure that you're using the Knight's Vow. If you bring something like Locket, make sure you're using Lockets in fights, Redemption, just anything that's activatable. And the same thing with Summoner spells. There are a couple of times where you forgot to use Exhaust in fights. Especially that one time when you died bottom lane early on. So, and I'm guilty of these things too. I forget about items sometimes. I forget about summoners. So, even, Platinum Plus, people forget that stuff. But you want to make sure that you're doing it as much as possible. So just whenever a fight starts, just, right when it's about to start, just take a look down, just see what you have. Which summoners do you have? Which items can you activate? And just be ready. And just make sure you use them in a fight. The number one thing is just use them. And then after that, you can work on using them in an optimal way. So even if you, don't lock it at the exact perfect time in a fight, or even if you don't exhaust the exact perfect person at the perfect time, just using it at some point when a bunch of people are going to die is going to be helpful. So just make sure that you're using it, and then you can work on, over time, using it in a more optimal way. Okay, well, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, as always. I truly do appreciate all the support that you give the channel. It's just, you're just a wonderful presence in the community. So thank you very much, Wayne. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps you out. And have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time.